Hey guys, I'm the Roleplay Gamer and I like to party. So the Fallout 4 Survival Mode beta has been released to the public. You can opt in through Steam, which is what I've done. I've played about maybe 3-4 hours in survival mode, so I can show it off to you and give you my thoughts. I say survival mode, but it's really just an overhaul of the survival difficulty level. So just a couple of things before we get started. If you'd like to skip the whole explanation of the survival overhaul, you can of course do so. There is a timecode link in the description as always, and that'll take you straight to my thoughts on the survival overhaul. And secondly, the character you're seeing on screen is my resistance leader build. She is a beefed up level 79, so don't expect the footage here to be too difficult. This is probably not representative of what your own experience with survival mode will be, but it's just something nice to look at while I prattle on a little bit. So what does the survival overhaul change? And keep in mind, this is a very basic explanation. First up, there's no way to save manually. The only way to save the game is by sleeping in a bed. This means that if you die, whether it's 10 minutes after last time you slept, or 30 minutes, or an hour, you lose all that progress and you get loaded back to the last time you slept. It's actually pretty cool. Of course, there's no fast travel. That's fairly self-explanatory, and that's usually how I play anyway, so there's not a problem there. There are no enemy compass marking things on the compass, so you can't see where hostiles are until you're actually engaged with them, I guess, you know. They never actually show up on the compass. This is a huge change for me because I've noticed it actually takes me a little while, depending on the situation, to figure out where the gunfire is coming from, or if I've stumbled across a battle where the sounds of battle are coming from, whether they're shooting at me or not. It can make combat more thrilling as a result. There is also the adrenaline system. So it's survival mode, you take more damage, but you also do more damage. So the way this works, basically, as I understand it, every 5 kills, you gain a rank in the adrenaline perk, and it ups your damage by 5%, I think, if memory serves. I'll be honest, I don't know fully how it works. I was looking for like a visual representation or stats for it in the Pip-Boy. It doesn't seem like it's there. I don't know if that's a beta thing or if they're not going to put it in there, but there doesn't seem to be any visual representation of your adrenaline rank. It just all works behind the scenes, so that's all I know. But basically, supposedly you get stronger the more kills you make, which is interesting. It sort of offsets the unfair factor. So survival mode doesn't really feel unfair or even difficult. It's just an entirely new way to play, and we'll get to that more when I give you my thoughts. So of course you also have to eat and drink and sleep, but that's tied into the saving, so that goes hand in hand. I've noticed you don't have to eat that much, but drinking is quite a thing. You've got to stay hydrated, and depending what you put in your body, you can actually kind of detriment your basic needs even further. For example, the more Radaway or Radex you take, the more dehydrated you get. So if you're filled up with radiation, you've got to, and you want to get rid of it, you've then got to compensate by drinking more and sometimes eating more. But in most cases, that's going to give you radiation back anyway, So there's this real balance and like almost risk reward sort of thing of like, how important is cleansing my body of radiation really? Because you can't do it that easily. It's pretty interesting. Then there's also a fatigue system, which I'll be honest, I'm not clear on exactly how that works, but basically it's like the radiation bar but applied to your action points bar, and I assume it's related to how long you go without sleeping and that sort of thing. I have noticed my character getting fatigued while I've been playing, but I don't know exactly how it works behind the scenes. So that's basically how survival mode works. Of course, it's a little more nuanced than that, and I'll provide a link in the description to Bethesda's blog on the matter that gives you more detail. So now let's move on to my thoughts. I really like it. Actually, I wasn't expecting to. Like I said before, it doesn't feel like a difficulty level. I don't feel like it makes the game harder. It's just an entirely new way to play. It feels like a new game, and it's renewed my interest in Fallout 4. I don't think I've ever been more excited to play it, not even at release. So to begin with, the appeal for me, and this might sound a little bit silly, is the fact that you don't have to save. One of the, I suppose, burdens for me in playing a Bethesda game is the save early, save often mentality, and I understand why it's necessary. Not just for bugs, but, you can lose a lot of progress. If you die unexpectedly, you stumble into an area that you're not ready for, which can happen, more often in Fallout 4 than previous Bethesda games. So it's just safer to save often, but then I sort of get this anxiety in the back of my head of always worrying about, I'm going to make sure I'm saving. And I know it sounds kind of stupid and it just sounds stupid in a way, but the fact that I can't save, it's like a weight off my shoulders. Because I'm focusing more on playing the game instead of gaming the game. It's like, just that change alone kind of just makes it more immersive for me in a strange way. But of course, it has to be said that considering the often buggy nature of Bethesda games, the fact that you haven't got control over when and where you save can also be a problem. It hasn't come up as an issue for me yet because, in all honesty, Fallout 4 isn't that buggy for me. I understand that everyone's experience is different, but for me personally, the biggest issue with the game is just performance. It runs like absolute arse. But that aside, I haven't come across a situation where I've needed to revert to an old save because something's messed up. But I fully realize and understand that could be a deal breaker for some people. Secondly, the survival overhaul encourages exploration on a small scale. And what I mean by that is delving into the abandoned buildings that you might not have given a second thought to previously. This has actually expanded the game for me. I've noticed that I actually missed a lot of stuff just because I didn't even bother going inside. So now I actually find myself entering these abandoned buildings, whether they're houses or factories or whatever, spurred on by the need to find food and water. But of course, there is a downside to this as well. I do feel that the survival overhaul can potentially discourage grander exploration. And what I mean by that is traveling from one end of the map to the other. If you plan to do a lot of crafting, which is something I've been doing more and more lately, because let's be honest, it's one of the better features of Fallout 4, you might have a hard time with the survival overhaul. Because more things have weight, such as ammo, you can't really have your backup weapons and whatnot. If you've got, your main weapon with a lot of ammo, and you want to carry junk as well, it's gonna be really difficult. You're gonna get encumbered real quick. So if you're venturing out into the Commonwealth with the goal of getting junk so that you can bring it back to base and use it in crafting, holy shit, man, you're going to be taking a lot of trips home, and I mean a lot. With the removal of fast travel on top of that, that can end up being super tedious unless you're so into the moment-to-moment survival aspects, which is a possibility. I can just see crafting becoming a chore in survival mode, which is a bloody shame, because I feel like the crafting coupled with the survival overhaul makes a fantastic game. You almost have to have a companion with you just as a pack mule. Now, I'm not suggesting that they enable fast travel for survival, because I feel like that would defeat the whole purpose. But you have to realize that the crafting tedium, going back to base constantly, is, I think, an unavoidable side effect of the overhaul. Now, that being said, if you want to focus on one gun and you're just picking up exactly what you need to craft that, then there's not a problem. You can stay on the move. You don't have to have a home base. You don't have to keep going back. I suppose it's just a matter of managing your inventory at that point. Looking back at what I just said, I suppose it kind of looks like I'm shitting on survival mode a little bit, but I really do enjoy it, and more so, I really like the concept of it, and I love that they're putting it in the game for free, which is extra fantastic. I'm personally really interested to see like survival builds coming out, and I might do a few myself. I might get back into it because I think it totally warrants whole new builds just for survival mode. Will this remedy the limited, perks and skill building potential the Fallout 4 inherently has? I don't know about that, and we'll have to wait and see. But, fingers crossed it allows us to be a little bit more diverse and a little more focused instead of being just generally jack of all trades builds. On the other hand, I can see a lot of people just pumping a lot of points into endurance so that they survive a little longer, and hopefully that's not the case. But I suppose time will tell once the greater community gets their hands on it, probably after the beta. Anyway, guys, that's enough from me. Thank you very much for watching. Have you tried survival mode yet? What do you think of it? Let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, taste the game, be excellent to each other, and I'll see you next time. Roleplay Gamer, out.